I don't like my mountains. Making my own strategy game, Part 9. I spent a lot of time working on the terrain in my game, and overall I was pretty satisfied with it. But while I was working on rivers, I kept feeling that something was still off. And the problem was the mountains. You see, even though the mountains in my game look decent, they are still far from ideal. They don't resemble real natural mountain terrain. If you look at something like the Alps on a map, you can see that mountain ranges are full of constant rises and drops, ridges and valleys. In my case, they were mostly just huge, elevated blobs. So it was time to fix that. After spending 5 days working on the generator, I ended up with this, and honestly, I think it looks pretty good. This was my line of thinking. If we take a random mountain area, we can break it down into 3 main structural elements. First, there are ridges. In my system, these are marked with black lines, and they represent the highest parts of the mountains. Second, there are valleys. These are the lowest areas of the mountain range, shown here as the red lines. And third, there are the slopes running from the ridges down into the valleys. In my visualization, those are the yellow lines. It took me a long time to figure out how to recreate this natural logic inside the game, but eventually I found a way. First, I generate random clusters of black ridge lines. Then, each individual cluster starts to claim territory, and as a result, the red valley lines are formed between them. To create the yellow slope lines, I use the same idea again, but this time the territory is claimed by individual ridge segments relative to one another. After that comes the height distribution stage. I start with the black ridges. Their range begins at around 2,500 meters and technically has no upper limit, although most of them usually end up somewhere between 3,500 and 4,500 meters. Then come the valleys, which range roughly from 200 to 1,500 meters. And the deeper the valley is inside the system, the higher its average elevation tends to be. The yellow slopes play a special role because they act as support structures for distributing height across the whole area. Their elevation is calculated in a more complex way. It depends on the nearest valley height and the nearest ridge height. Using a custom formula, I determine the heights at the ends of each slope and then distribute the rest of the elevation across it. And once all of these supporting heights are in place, I can generate the rest of the terrain and get a result like this. I hope it was interesting to see the technical side of this. I am getting very close to finishing the technical side of the world generator, and soon I'll be able to move on to filling the game with actual content, cities, roads, economy, and everything else. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and stay tuned.